Oh my goodness. Last second, go to DEFCON 2, Alice. Whopper suddenly humming and the lights are going. It's on, Alice. It's on. We've got troubles.
Do we?
We've got troubles. Yes, we do indeed. Remember a couple, yesterday, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? March 2nd. That was yesterday, right? I was tagged in this post showing the Guzmad how the Gumsgulio from
whatever the word is, right?
The Indian person of whatever. Can you find out what it's called again? It's the second 2 podcasts ago.
Gazwazad?
Right, and we talked about it on the show, and of course Biden's going to have a Gazwazai in the up with Jill. Of course he is, because why wouldn't you have? Because it's intersectional in 100,000 ways, and plus it's a Gazwazai, which of course everybody's always heard of. It's always been a thing that we always know about and cherish, and it's an absolute normal and valid thing that's in high esteem. Of course it is. It always is. What are you suggesting it isn't? Of course it is. Yes, it is. Of course it is. Yes, I have chai latte. I have a 4-pack of what kind of beer is it? Craft beer. That's $26 for a 4-pack, which I'll bring to a loft party, but only 4. And if I only drink 3, I'll take the last one home with me. And of course I know what a guzwaza is, because we're all good progressives here, and everybody knows that stuff. So anyway, it's ridiculous. So Alice and I talked about it, you guys remember, a couple of days ago on the podcast. And then yesterday I saw that I was tagged in this weird this post by a guy named Rob Capriccioso, founder, Indigenous Wire on Substacking, previous senior editor of Tribal Biz, it's Indian stuff, 10-year Indian County DC Bureau Chief, Country DC, Salt Tribe. I didn't realize this till today, when I finally looked and saw, why am I tagged in this? It says, conservative media meltdown over Indigenous person being invited to the State of the Union. White House assumes it's cautious posture. Mm-hmm. So I look, and Fox News is CC'd. Breitbart News is CC'd. Tom Shattuck is CC'd. Real Kyle Morris is CC'd. Callie Patterson is CC'd. FLOTUS, Dr. Biden, and White House are all CC'd. Tom Shattuck's right in the middle of that group, which I appreciate. But I ignored it yesterday because I was busy, and who knows what it was, whatever. And then today, I just noticed, as we're getting ready to do the show, that I just clicked on this thing, because I didn't know why I was included in this. And would you know this? Okay, so conservative media, here's the subtext. Conservative media meltdown over Indigenous person being invited to the State of the Union by Rob Capriccioso. Dayline Washington, it's not great news for Indian country when an Indigenous person simply being invited to the State of the Union causes a meltdown across conservative media. So I don't know if we were melting down during the show. I believe we were enjoying it.
I thought we were having a good time.
Correct.
It was before Dave passed away, and I was still had happiness in my soul.
Yes, that was BD, before Dave. But it's also not the best news for Indian country when the White House realizes it might have a bit of an unplanned distraction on its hands, so it attempts to minimize said Indigenous person. Interesting. The Native American at the center of the minor storm is Melissa Isaac, a citizen of the... if I were him, I would have taken out minor, because you've already said it's caused a meltdown, so take out minor, just make it a storm. The Native American at the center of the minor storm is Melissa Isaac, a citizen of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe of Mount Pleasant, Michigan. After the First Lady's guest list was announced yesterday, Indigenous Wire wrote about Isaac's impending attendance, noting that she's the leader of the Michigan Department of Education's Indigenous Education Initiative. And these are all very normal, non-progressive bureaucracies, of course. And the founder of Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe's Project Aware program. The First Lady met with her and other tribal officials in October when she and the U.S. Surgeon General visited the tribe. The White House prominently highlighted Isaac's Indian name, Gizwazad, within the biography it released for her. Gizwazad translates to protector of the young in the Anishinaabe Ojibwe language, according to the White House. Mm-hmm. It turns out that, I thought it suggested that she was a Gizwaj, but whatever, fine. Turns out that said Indian name and the resilience it represents helped the conservative media to lose their collective mind. Fox News, Breitbart, the New York Post, and others all wrote negative articles about Isaac's attendance, noting her unsurprising past support for critical race theory, which she has expressed in various forms on social media. A podcast, I repeat, a podcast called Tom Shattuck's Burn Barrel spent a chunk of the show with its two co-hosts laughing at the Indian name, mocking its pronunciation, and again, drawing attention to Isaac's rude beliefs in critical race theory. Why are we both co-hosts? Why can't we just be hosts? As Noah Rothman would say, nevertheless, they appeared to attribute any indigenous ideas she has to, quote, woke culture. One of the hosts also drank a beer when talking about Isaac, which surprised his co-host, who said she thought he was, quote, back on the wagon.
Wait, so is that a racist thing? Are you not allowed to say back on the wagon?
No, I think I think it's just making note to just how white trashy we are, and
I mean, our show's called Tom Shattuck's Burn Barrel. What do they want?
About how dysfunctional we are. The show overlooked all of Isaac's Native American education and mental health credentials, and instead listed her as a CRT wacko in its description of the program. The story doesn't end here. However,
the two things aren't mutually exclusive. I believe that, all the woke wackos, all the CRT wackos have very impressive credentials that one could list.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
That's the problem.
Of course. It's just a little less fun talking about somebody's doctorates than it is talking about how they're a Gizwale,
Well, and by the way, we talked about what the White House put out there as the reasons they're inviting her, too. We talked about the information that was provided to us. The White House didn't come out and say that they were inviting a mental health professional to address the crisis in mental health among youth, because that wouldn't be freaking funny and we wouldn't be laughing at that. The fact that he invited somebody because they're Gizwazad or whatever is the freaking problem. Right,
which is because they're a protector of the young, who happens to be a teacher too. Isn't that so teachery? It's funny because I already liked this writer, and I like the way he wrote this. I like that it's written in a very tabloidy style.
Mm-hmm.
He could have taken personal shots. Certainly, I'm infallible, but certainly at your appearance or anything else that we might have said. Okay. They appear to attribute any indigenous ideas she has to woke culture. One of the hosts also drank a beer when talking about Isaac, which surprised his co-host, who said she thought he was, quote, back in the wagon. That is excellent. The show overlooked all of Isaac's Native American educational mental health credentials and instead listed her as a CRT wacko in its description of the program. Story doesn't end there, however. I think they move off of us, unfortunately, after this.
When are we going to talk about how we have in the past given a platform to Native American advocates on this very white trash podcast?
That is true. And you acted as the Gizwale, and with that guest, explaining to her what the Enlightenment was. The story doesn't end there, although, according to people close to the administration, the White House quickly caught wind that the conservative press was going to their burn barrel communications monitor said, we got something here. Going to try to draw attention to Isaac during the president's speech, and folks in the White House did not want Isaac's attendance to shift the focus. Officials were all said to treat Isaac very well in person, and she did sit behind Jill Biden at the speech last night. Her ribbon skirt lit up native social media, with many asking who she was and why she hadn't been called out by the president during his address. The president referenced tribes only one time during the State of the Union in the larger context of building up the nation's infrastructure, and he missed an opportunity to highlight tribal colleges and universities alongside the support he expressed for historically black colleges and universities. The question from onlookers on social media were understandable regarding the mysterious auntie in the ribbon dress, as some started calling her. That's because when the White House invites people to sit with the First Lady during the SOTU, the administration usually has a reason for wanting to promote the person or the ideology symbolized by said person. That fact was exemplified by President Joe Biden championing Ukraine's U.S. ambassador last night, receiving strong bipartisan applause in doing so. Every time the cameras pointed to the First Lady's seating area, People could see Isaac's bright ribbon skirt. Could we? I guess so.
Yeah, we could.
It's a rainbow skirt. People could see Isaac's bright ribbon skirt. Natives would tweet about it. Yet a shout out to her never came. We shouted her out. A young diabetic boy received his time in the sun, as did others, but not Isaac.
Maybe we should pit the diabetics against the
what
Native
a shot
Americans.
at like Tiny Tim there. It's like the young, poor kid gets his shout out there. They take aim at him. The young diabetic boy received plenty his time in the sun, as did others, but not Isaac. U.S. Department of the Interior officials, former Native federal staffers, and current Democratic National Committee staff all wondered why in the world the White House would put Isaac in such a prominent position, and then seemed to back away from having the president note during his address that she was even in attendance.
Because the Burn Barrel podcast made fun of them, and they were scared.
That's right.
They were scared.
The White House could present any number of excuses, pointing to limited time or the fact that not all people in the First Lady's viewing box were publicly mentioned. But the White House has not responded to requests for comments, thus lending credence to the idea that it was concerned that Isaac's attendance after the critical conservative articles and podcasts started being posted, that they could take the night slightly off message. Notably, when Jill Biden tweeted about her invited attendees before the speech started, but after the negative conservative articles being published, she omitted the Gizwazad in her description of Isaac. Yet Gizwazad, she omitted the word Gizwazad. Maybe they know that that's ridiculous. Maybe that's why they did it. They said, you know what, this is going to seem crazy to a lot of people. You know, we're going to do a lot of crazy things here tonight. Maybe she omitted the word Gizwazad in her description of Isaac. Yet Gizwazad was in the initial first line of the original White House announcement, which seemed to be a word that several conservatives honed in on during the critiques. That's right.
You know what George Orwell says in his thing about writing is never use a foreign word to seem important when a regular English word will work.
Whoa. Who's the foreigners in this narrative, Alice? In the legacy of this country? That's you, okay? And that's that little crippled boy up there, okay? It's not the Gizwazad.
You know what? Maybe next time Biden will give the whole State of the Union in the OG boy language.
Another strange thing about the First Lady's tweet was that they referred to Isaac as currently an enrolled member of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe. Currently is an odd word to describe an enrolled tribal citizen. One is either an enrolled tribe or citizen, or is not an enrolled tribal citizen. And the White House's native advisors certainly know that. So a better review of communications involving natives appears in order. Or maybe they did do a better review of the Gizwazad and said, maybe we should temper this a little bit because we're seeing something that could be concerning. As for whether Isaac has been affected by the controversy and the White House's response to it, she hasn't said yet. She did post pictures of the evening on social media, seeming to enjoy herself. And she wrote that she was honored to be there. Apparently, she didn't yet hear the Burn Barrel podcast. So
I mean, maybe people who are happy don't spend that much time worrying what the Burn Barrel podcast thinks about them. But, you know, this is like a pretty powerful show, I guess. I had no idea. But we've this show has scared a lot of people, I think. And now, the White House.
Next we cyberbully and dox Tiny Tim and swat him too. So somebody said, shame on every person who voiced concern or opposition and every person who made room for that sentiment instead of figuratively smacking it down and squashing it. They proved the need for CRT, and to the whiny baby white people who don't like it, 2FTFB. To which I responded, racist. To which this person, Cheryl Smith, responded, I'm white, but nice try.
I thought Candace Owens was black, too, but, it doesn't stop them from calling her racist.
So if she says that they prove the need for CRT and the tiny baby whiny white people that she uses race because she's white, that means she can't be a racist. I call a white woman a racist. She says, I'm white. Nice try. I'm not sure that the rules, that the games that she's playing in allow for that. Exactly. So Lisa McKellis, another white woman, says, this is their land. We're the damn guests.
Are we guests, or did we fight a bunch of wars with them? I mean,
Well, right. And you know what? If Lisa feels that she's dealing with stolen goods, she can rectify that immediately.
Yeah, give back your house.
Right. Give it to the Gizwalla. She then if Franco Coviello says they are the only true Americans, they were here first. Were they Americans, in the sense of
named after
United States?
Amerigo Vespucci?
Right, or in the sense of the United States of America that was constructed, by post-Enlightenment Western Europeans.
I mean, maybe they don't know about the Enlightenment. I don't know.
Alice.
I don't know. I've been asked that question, honestly.
They're going to come back at you. They're coming back at you.
Okay, well, they can go watch the video where we talked to the Native American activists who had not heard of the Enlightenment. And we were very nice to her.
We appreciate it, Rob, and I will be subscribing to his Substack.
It appears to have like a lot of articles on it. He's like very busy on his Substack.
Yeah, unlike some fat.
I actually had an idea about your Substack.
Fat people who are off the wagon of one a week.
I have an idea about your Substack.
Yes.
Which is that I should take old columns that you have written in past lives and put those on your Substack.
Okay, I'm sure it's
because they are paywalled now where they currently are.
I think that's a great idea. That's right, guys. You are getting nothing but the best on the Tom Shattuck Substack.
A lot of those are really good. When you called Michelle Obama the Camembert cop,
that's right.
People can't get that content just anywhere.
If you like cheese metaphors, you're about to be very pleased with your subscription list. So here's my guy, Rob Carapiccio. Welcome to Indigenous Wire.
Well, that name sounds Italian, and you're making fun of that name,
No,
too,
he is Capriccio. He's got to be Italian, I assume.
Well, he must be at least partially Native American, right?
I don't know, Alice. I don't see people for something like that. An award-winning Washington, D.C.-based journalist and writer with over 2 decades of reporting and editing experience, Rob was previously the longtime D.C. bureau chief at Indian Country Today, senior editor at Tribal Business News, and contributing writer at American Indian Report and News from Indian Country, and he's reported for numerous other Native-focused publications.
I wonder if Native American publications pay better than...
They've got to. His mainstream media contributions include reporting, analysis, and special projects for NPR, PBS, Smithsonian Magazine, New York Times, New York Post, The Guardian, TMZ, Campaigns and Elections, Forbes, Political, Inside Higher Ed, and more.
Yeah, it sounds like what it
Rob,
pays better.
It was time for him to go to Substack, of course, because that's a good resume, and there's no way that could work in the outside world. Rob is an enrolled citizen of the Salt Tribe of Chippewa Indians, there you go, who grew up in the Bowie-Tig region of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. His mother worked for the tribe in various health-related positions, and his father was an economic and legal advisor. So there you go. So that is Rob in Winchester. I am subscribed. Thank you. I'll be using the... What the hell? Subscription plan.
How much does it cost?
The annual subscription... The monthly is $10 a month. The annual is $99 a year. Founding member is $250 a year. Do I have that option of mine?
Yes, people can give you $100.
That's also criminal, but fine.
That's a founding
I'm going to
member.
be going for the subscription plan I call None, where I get occasional public posts. Continue without paying, it says. Really, they really shame me in this thing. Don't display this on my profile. Thank you. Appreciate that. So there you go. So that's nice. I didn't know that we got the shout out from my friend. But that's good to know. Oh, all right. What else is next, Allison? What's going on in the world?
Let's see. Universities don't want to teach Russian authors anymore.
Which I agree with. No more Dostoevsky.
Or Tolstoy.
Couldn't read a book. Is that all there is?
Have you ever heard such insanity as this?
No.
Literally.
It's so incredibly weak that I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's so weak, I don't even know what to say. Here's Jennifer Granholm on how we're dealing with the energy problem with high gas prices.
But the bottom line is that this president and this administration are looking at every single tool to shield American families from the impact of rising energy prices, and we're working through
everything except like pipeline.
We're working through an energy transition, and we've got to start by adding energy. And the reality is,
what are we working through again?
An energy transition.
Oh,
we're working through an energy transition, and we've got to start by adding energy. And the reality is, we have to take some time to get off of oil and gas. We recognize this. This is a transition. But the bottom line is that...
So in other words, we're working through an energy transition. We need to add energy. The way we're going to add energy is to get off oil.
Yeah, we're going to add energy by quitting the only energy that's available first.
It's called transition.
And then we hope that something else happens that can make energy go. Not nuclear power, obviously. So not natural gas. That's not going to work. So, we'll just have to hope that solar cars take off in the next year or so, because otherwise we're screwed. It's ridiculous, and it's gonna get worse because we're probably gonna end up boycotting Russian fossil fuels here soon. So that's one problem. I really wish this Ukraine war thing would stop. They're going back to talks now, right?
Dateline Chicago. Mayor Lori Lightfoot blocked a deal the Chicago Park District made with an Italian-American group to allow a Christopher Columbus statue to be displayed in a parade. Lightfoot was not pleased because she ordered all the Christopher Columbuses out of there because, once again, like we were talking about, the native peoples were good, and then Columbus came and all of the Spaniards came and slaughtered all the Native Americans who were very peaceful among themselves, and all the Central Native Americans, and all the Incas, and all the Aztecs, all slaughtered by white people who then ate them. And that's the truth of it. So Mayor Lori Lightfoot blocked a deal with. So the Italians in Chicago groups got together and said, "We'd like to have, since you've taken Christopher Columbus off of everything for some reason, we'd like to have him back at least in a parade." She said, "No, don't you dare." She lost her bleep. Lightfoot, I'm going to swear, I'm going to read this as is said, guys, so I'm sorry about this. This is you're going to have to deal with this. Lightfoot learned about the plan with the Italians. She lost her mind on a Zoom meeting. Lightfoot told them that they had to submit their pleadings to a city lawyer for approval and were told to not do a fucking thing with that statue without my approval. Get that fucking statue back before noon tomorrow, or I'm going to have you fired, Lightfoot said, according to the complaint. Lightfoot also made the obscene comments to this Italian lawyers group, according to the lawsuit, which she alleges that she called them dicks and asked, "What the fuck were you thinking?" So let's just mark that. We're going to clean them. Now this is the beautiful. This is why I like Lori Lightfoot. She ends with, "You make some kind of secret agreement with Italians? You're out there stroking your dicks over the Columbus statue? I'm trying to keep Chicago police officers from being shot, and you're trying to get them shot," Lightfoot said, according to the complaint. "My dick is bigger than yours and the Italians. I have the biggest dick in Chicago." End quote. Lori Lightfoot.
It's funny because, it's an old line. We've been here before, but it's just funny that, everybody had fainting spells over Trump's grab them by the you-know-what tape and whatever.
Right.
And, that was we can't countenance such language and discussion. I can't believe... And, but Lori Lightfoot can say that, and that, nobody bats an eye. It's totally fine. No big deal. Politicians are crude people. Well, some of them are, anyway. I suppose Mitt Romney probably never says anything like that, even in private. But, a lot of politicians say ridiculous, crude things. And Trump wasn't even a politician at the time that other thing happened. I don't know. It's Lori Lightfoot's just funny. She's funny. Are they going to keep electing her? How long can she be mayor there?
Is Lori Lightfoot Native American?
Is she? No, I don't think so. Is she?
Lori Lightfoot is a Massilian native.
Oh, there you go. Who knew?
What is Massilian? Do you know what that means?
Nope.
Lori Lightfoot, Massillon native, will be Chicago's first black female mayor. Former federal prosecutor Lori Lightfoot defeated a longtime political insider to become Chicago's first mayor, the first black woman and openly gay person to lead the nation's third largest city. Lightfoot is a Massillon native, according to the Washington High School Alumni Association website. She's a 1980 grad. Massillon native, huh?
Do you think she really is?
I don't know. The first Google return about Lori Lightfoot is something called ChicagoClout.com. And it says, Paleface Rick Morrissey was very insulted about Mayor Lori Lightfoot taking an Indian name to further her career. Paleface Rick Morrissey is a typical moron that has nothing to write about, but he has a new angle to start more unneeded BLM and white whining about nothing. I don't know, maybe just keeps calling her. Ricky, please tell Lori Lightfoot that the name Lightfoot is English, but many times used by Native Americans. Since an Englishman married an Indian woman, the name should only be used by Native Americans. I'm offended, whatever. Okay, so this is maybe Chicago Cloud is not the best thing to be reading. But there you go. That is Lori Lightfoot.
No, that's not. That's just a town that she lived in Ohio.
Oh, well, then she's not a Native American.
No, she's a Massillon native, as in she's from the town of Massillon.
Why is that important?
I don't know. That's why it said whatever lists her as a graduate of the high school. You know, which I thought didn't make that much sense about saying she's a Native American. Like, it was a bit of a non sequitur. Yeah, she's not a Native American.
All right. Do you want to get to the death sentence stuff?
Death sentence stuff? I don't know about that.
Governor Death Sentence stormed into a high school in Florida.
Oh, Governor Death Sentence.
And ordered all the kids to remove their masks immediately.
You do not have to wear those masks. I mean, please take them off. Honestly, it's not doing anything, and we got to stop with this COVID theater. So if you want to wear it, fine, but this is ridiculous.
All right, well, it's good to be at USF.
Well, that was bullying and harassment by Death Sentence, and so the news found one of the kids who took his mask off and his mother and talked to them both.
I'm responsible for him, and I told him to wear that mask. And Governor DeSantis, and he's looking at this adult authority and is telling him, oh, you didn't have to wear the mask.
What was your reaction when you heard the governor tell you and your classmates, remove your masks?
A bit of surprise and shock, more of, okay, this authority figure is asking me to do something that I know is probably going to end up being controversial, so I took mine off.
Did you feel pressure by the governor to do that?
Listen to this. Count the beats.
A little.
Yeah,
it was more of
a resounding yes. I think that is. Absolutely. Kid sounded petrified. Did you feel pressure? Oh, God, yes.
The pressure of an adult figure asking me to do something.
I played this by mistake, but it fits.
Why
not? It's just shocking that the governor told these kids, take off your mask. He pretty much said, take off your mask, it's stupid. And take off your mask, your parents don't matter. Even though I'm telling you, parents matter. And he's telling my minor child to take off his mask. He's putting us at risk. So, I was upset, very upset.
He's putting us at risk?
Meanwhile, she's literally not wearing a mask
in
that video.
In that video where she's giving the interview and her son is wearing a mask. That's where we are right now.
Well, so it's funny, and I haven't seen people talk about this that much. Mostly it's been just hyperventilating by people on the left and in the media asking to find the parents of the kids because they were all tweeting immediately after this happened. Washington Post reporters were going if anyone knows any of the kids who DeSantis yelled at to take off their masks or their parents, let me know. I need to interview. They were all over this because they love this stuff. That's I don't understand how the media keeps its entire ecosystem alive just on pure hate for a few people. Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, and DeSantis, right? So they all live for this stuff. So they immediately were like all about it. DeSantis is telling kids to do something unsafe. He's yelling at them. See, conservatives said they were about choice, but actually they just want to control what you do. Like, he said, if you want to keep it on, then fine, but please take those off. I mean, that's not exactly like forced pressure, right? He didn't arm twist anybody. And it's funny because I think they're getting the motivation completely wrong. DeSantis isn't trying to force anyone to do anything. He's trying to avoid being in these pictures where he's unmasked and all the little children behind him are masked, like all the other politicians do and all the Hollywood stars do. And everybody is all, you have Stacey Abrams in the room full of kindergartners and they're all wearing masks and she's not. And it looks terrible. It's terrible optics. And he doesn't want to be in a photo like that, right? He doesn't want to look like he's making his underlings mask. He understands that that's like a really bad look, and he wants to at least be on the record as having said, you can take those off. It's not me that's asking you to have these things on, right? And I think that's why he said it. It has nothing to do with pressuring anybody to do anything. It's ridiculous.
Totally, and it wouldn't be a fact. I'm surprised if there's a little bit of stagecraft and trickery happening when he goes to some of these schools in these districts where the teachers hate him in the school districts.
They're sending a bunch of masked kids to stand behind him. Of course,
make him take it off. This will be the thing. He's not giving parents a choice. Ha ha! He's just like Terry McAuliffe, saying parents don't have a choice. Ha ha! That's the whole game behind him. But
the truth is he hasn't forced anybody to do anything this entire time. His entire policy has been based around allowing people to have choice, allowing parents to opt out of mask mandates for their kids, right? It's entirely been about choice to him from day one. And the only people who have not been about choice are the mask zealots. And they just cannot deal with that whole fact. They can't handle the idea that they're not allowed to control what you do. So they're trying to turn it around and gaslight people to believe that DeSantis is some kind of tyrant when he's literally the entire time, the only thing he said is you had the decision whether to wear a mask or not.
Right.
And he's allowed to say, I think wearing masks is dumb and it doesn't do anything, which is like what Dr. Leanna Wen and everybody else says now, finally.
Mm-hmm.
But...
So, bringing us to another viral clip on TikTok. You may have seen this at Disney World. A little kid sees Winnie the Pooh and runs towards Winnie the Pooh. Did you see this? You probably did, right? Runs towards Winnie the Pooh.
There's Pooh Bear! Oh, you can't go hug, you can't hug.
A more Disney Secret Service than reacted to John Hinckley shooting Reagan came out of the woodwork and blocked the kid from touching Winnie the Pooh because she could give him COVID.
There's Pooh Bear! Oh, you can't go hug, you can't hug. Sorry. I didn't know she was going to run up on him.
That's right. Thank you for not shooting her. Hi, Pooh. Nobody's crazy here. And that is the way things are going. Speaking of TikTok, in Connecticut and all over the U.S. now, 40-something, I think, AGs are now going after TikTok, trying to take TikTok to the woodshed because they're very dangerous. This is here, AG Wong of Connecticut saying the TikTok is causing violence.
The so-called Slap a Teacher challenge, where it appears.
Listen to his deductive reasoning.
Okay. I'm listening.
The so-called Slap a Teacher challenge, where it appears that young people were encouraged to strike a teacher or instructor.
I don't know how from the encrypted title of the challenge they would assume that. But yes, they've deduced that, in fact, Slap a Teacher challenge means to strike the teacher. Ha-ha, high fives all around, AGs. It's incredible. But anyway, they're demanding answers.
This investigation of TikTok will focus on what TikTok knows about its platform, its algorithm, and its impact on young people, whether it knows that it causes harm to young people.
Does or does this not meant to be addictive for people? Is this or is this not meant to be enjoyable so that they'll keep returning to use it? How are you using quality control to make sure that kids come back to do it more and more, and adults as well? Aha!
Of course they're going after TikTok for all the wrong reasons. They should be going after TikTok because it's a Chinese spy app, but of course they're not doing that.
Well, I mean that could be one of the cover stories they use, and it's a perpetual fountain of earned media going after TikTok because you can do it again and again. You can castigate them all you want. They're gonna respond in corporate speak. You're gonna have visuals to use of all the bad stuff going on that includes with young people. So all these AGs are going to sit there and just get famous on, we're doing it, we're going after them. They're destroying the youth, and eventually they'll start to shake down some parts of TikTok and maybe get a little money. But it's a total. This is prostitution we're seeing on behalf of these AGs using TikTok for earned media, and there's nothing to it because you could go after TikTok, might as well go after Facebook. After Twitter, after Snapchat.
Well, they are. Remember they had the whistleblower?
After the thing that chicks look at for pictures
Instagram?
of nice looking Tupperware and chopped
Pinterest?
carrots. Yes, Pinterest. And even then you might as well go back and look at cable TV and the harmful things on cable TV.
Do you know how I can tell
you can
that
go back and look at the video games of the 80s, Nintendo and Atari and all that stuff, and then just TV altogether that from the whole history of time. And radio that we've used forever, and rock and roll albums that have been destroyed our youth. It's like you can find any freaking reason, any platform.
Elvis is moving his hips to sexy away, and it's offensive to the olds. But I mean, nothing ever changes, does it? They have to have something to do. It's always kids these days, and we make fun of TikTokers a lot because a lot of them are extremely hateable.
Well, right, but we, when you're new to politics and you're young, you say, "Oh my goodness, look at them going after video games. How lame!" Yeah, they know they're lame. They're not really going after video games. They're getting TV cameras in front of them. That's all this is.
But I do think that there was don't you think there was a serious thing to go after violent video games and stuff, especially after Columbine and that stuff?
Of course.
Wasn't that a whole thing that it was?
Yes, of course it was.
So, I think they are serious. I think they really mean it.
I don't think so. I don't think the DAs and the people doing it are doing it for attention. I think you can get some buy-in from moms and probably fundraise from moms. Because moms will say, you know what, that's right, that's true. Johnny does play a lot of whatever he plays. Oh, there were some very
Satanism.
offensive video games. What was it, Grand Theft Auto? Where you could beat up the hooker? Sure that was a good idea? Jesus.
But, the problem is pretending that leads to, crime or something. Because it obviously, there's not a direct correlation between them.
That said, Alice Shattuck would say that internet porn leads to derelict behavior.
Porn is demonstrably addictive. And it's demonstrably, you can show that people, need to seek out more and more extreme content in order to get the same thrill from it.
Well, but how do you know other behaviors aren't binge-watched and get increasingly violent or radical?
In general, I don't think watching and digitally participating in a lot of violence is probably mentally healthy. But I don't think that necessarily I don't think that necessarily it leads to violence itself. Just like I don't think that watching porn leads to bad behaviors sexually. But I do think that watching porn ruins your brain. And I think that if you watch a lot of violence, it's probably not good for your brain either. I don't think the whatever the stupid thing was that was on YouTube, the Peppa Pig dentist going to the dentist video. I think that's I think when kids, I think it does something to your mind.
What do you think is worse for you?
I don't think it necessarily means you're going to be a psychopath, but I don't think you can get rid of psychopaths from society by getting rid of that stuff. But I don't think it's good for your kid's brain. I don't let our kids.
What do you think is worse for you as a 20-year-old man watching excessive porn or womanizing daily?
Which is worse for you?
Yes.
Define womanizing.
Sleeping with a woman daily.
So
perhaps,
sleeping with a different woman.
And perhaps upping the kink factor.
Upping the kink factor?
Mm-hmm.
I think doing it is worse on a continuum.
On a continuum, huh?
But I think they're on the same continuum. I think it wrecks your brain. It destroys your mind. It turns it into mush. It just makes you like stupid and not able to really connect with people in real life. Look at like Japan, where they have a massive...
Alice, you've already waged war against the native peoples today. You sure you want to do it on Japan?
How am I waging... Whatever. But in Japan, they have a problem with young people not having sex. Not having sex, not getting married, not having relationships with real people because they live in virtual reality and just watch tentacle porn or whatever and like buy girls' underwear from vending machines. And they don't have to like seek out real relationships with real human beings.
Well, where else can you buy it, to be fair?
Okay. So I do think it's a problem, and I do think it ruins people's ability to have real relationships.
All right.
Or at least damages their ability to have real relationships. Like, I do.
All right. Anything else going on?
I think that's most of what's going on. I'm just sad. I'm having a sad day. I miss
So
Dave.
you had a sad day.
No. I miss Dave the dog.
Poor
He was
Dave.
a good doggy.
Poor Dave. It's fallen off the continuum, unfortunately. What? He has, right?
I guess. I don't know what that means.
Well, you know what? To me, I look at what's happening in Ukraine, and I put it all into perspective, you know? And
Are you going to do some kitchen reorganization?
Gives me pause.
Is that a pun?
Ooh, Alice. Way too soon. Way too soon. All right. Well, I guess that's about it. I mean, anything else we want to share? We're in Vermont currently. Neighbors are feeding the chickens. Well, he should just let them out and let them free so they can drink snow if they need to. Maybe we should text them that.
They'll go in the road. What if they go in the road? What if they don't come back at night? What if they get eaten by an animal?
You know what?
Why do I...
Worms gotta eat too. Clint Eastwood once said.
You're a very dark person. Did you think
I don't
about
think
that?
so, Alice. At this point, you know, at this point, what am I getting at this point? Most people my age now, most men my age now are sufficiently dead inside. So what am I going to do, you know, with my chicken dies? Gives a crap. I mean, I look like little Jerry Callahan. Of course, the only exceptional chicken died. Ugh.
A lot of our chickens died. Let's be real.
Well, there's one exceptional one. That was LGC. Speaking of that, Jerry's now working with Bruce Mittman.
Really?
Part of that whole deal with Mittman, who I talked to. And yeah, they're part of, he's launching a Connecticut statewide conservative thing. I certainly think Jerry, that'll be good for Jerry. And because Jerry's a great talent and a huge. Oh, by the way, we're pitching. I sent him an email already. My friend Ben Shapiro at dailywire.com.
Yes.
And somebody, they're now running a sports podcast. So let's go here. Let's go.
You want the Daily Wire to buy us?
I don't think they're going to buy us, Alice. But I want them to host us, certainly. Okay?
Okay.
I mean,
I'm open.
all the sponsors we bring to the table. Jesus. I'm going to start, instead of doing ad reads, I'm going to start doing 30-second rants about how F you, and you're never allowed to advertise here anyway. Oh, by the way, Kirk Minahan is quitting his show after, in like 5 months. After
Forever?
Supposedly, yeah, after the Wilbur Theater.
Why?
He said he's done.
Why?
I don't know. Because he said he's done. He's just done with it.
Wow.
That's right. Now start creating the narrative that the natural bridge for Kirk fans is the Burn Barrel podcast. We're going to have to work a little more blue.
I don't think it is necessary.
And I don't think the Shadheads are as, although except for there's some crossover ones, I don't think the Shadheads are necessarily can muster like the Minifans can and terrorize people on the internet. But But maybe you can learn, like the Ukrainian citizens. Damn it, shatheads! Let's get together and start doxing people, right?
No, don't dox people.
Don't. Oh my goodness! All right, so looks like Alice. Look at this. Look at this.
Are you back on the wagon?
No, it's when you open a beer, it means you're off the wagon. I'll ask you to read a certain Native American Substack to know the difference between these things.
Sorry. No, I thought he was saying that was like a racist phrase because maybe it like has to do with the Oregon Trail or something. I don't know.
I hope so. I hope so. Please come back to us and talk about it if you consider that racist. I'm all for it. I'm all for having. I'd like to begin.
I listen to a lot of woke stuff, and I haven't heard that one, but anything's possible.
It was so nice. I'm so thrilled for him to position it as. Where is it?
As Fox News, Breitbart, and the Burn Barrel podcast.
All three of your go-tos. If it was me and I was writing this, a podcast called Tom Shattuck's Burn Barrel spent a chunk of the show with its two co-hosts laughing at the Indian name, mocking its pronunciation, and again drawing attention to Isaac's rooted beliefs in critical race theory. They appeared to attribute any indigenous ideas she has to woke culture. One of the hosts also drank a beer when talking about Isaac, which surprised his co-host, who said she thought he was, quote, back on the wagon. So there you go. That is the fact that he even said a podcast called Tom Shattuck's Podcast. If I was writing about somebody and wanting to torpedo them, I would have qualified that like a supposedly listened to podcast or a bottom feeding podcast, but he just has it as a podcast because he writes newsy, but a little bit.
Well, he wants to make it seem like important people actually went after her. So.
Oh, that's right. So he had to uplift us.
Yeah. In order to make it seem like that's the thing. It's like the White House heard that the Burn Barrel was making fun of her, so they had to change their whole plan. They didn't mention her. We scared them off. I mean, maybe they do listen because they did. There are other suggestions for the State of the Union where not only not to have the Native American activist, but also to have a steelworker and a cop, and they did both of those things. So, maybe they listen. Anyway, you can talk to Tom's new friend on Twitter. We are at Burn Barrel Pod. He is at Tom Shattuck. You can find the tweet there. We are also at facebook.com/Burn Barrel Podcast, burnbarrelpodcast.com. You can email us, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com, and say hi. Thank you all so much for listening. Again, it's been a rough week. I don't know what I would have done without you all. And have a good weekend.